What came to your mind when you started thinking of the story of Esther?
Well, this week we're telling the story of Esther from Scripture. I think a lot of times, being Americans, we look at the story of Esther and we like to Americanize it, and we like to look at it like a beauty pageant.
It's like a fairy tale story in a lot of people's, especially girls' lives.
The true story is these girls were being taken against their will into the palace. They were being essentially trafficked.
Any hopes of a marriage or going back to your family, going back to your normal life was gone.
There's just so much injustice in the actual system that it's very frustrating knowing that that didn't change for so many years.
Be advised, the suspect is armed and considered extremely dangerous. All units respond. Transport is on the way.
It opens your eyes. You kind of realize that slavery and the sex trade, I guess is what I'd call it, is much deeper ingrained into society than you would thought.
I was thinking like these people start seeming more real when you hear their stories and you see like it's starting to become not even just a far off country that you may have heard of.
Yeah, I'm 30 minutes away from a very that kind of a dangerous area for sex trafficking.
It's scary to think that that exists and that it's not getting the attention that it should.
People don't realize that pornography feeds directly into the trafficking industry. And there's a lot of believers that are caught up in that sin, and they do not realize that every time they click on that site or they watch that video, they are actively supporting an industry that traffics women.
Most of the American sex trafficking stories I've heard have been people that were already kind of at a disadvantage, or they were having hard things going on, they weren't making wise decisions, so they were targets.
They're looking at girls, they're looking at guys who are pouring out their hearts on their social media, their stories. They look out for people who say they're unhappy. And how many of us know someone who's depressed?
There is a particular person in my life right now, and I believe they are like that. But I have to keep myself at a distance because I feel like maybe they're poisoning some of the other friends that are in my life.
When we're vulnerable and when we're scared and when we lose sight of God, we tend to walk away from those who could help us.
And so I feel kind of helpless in that. But I think the only thing that I can do is pray.
The story of Esther it is not an easy story, but it is such a beautiful story because it's a story of hope.
The Lord continues to work through her faithfulness to Mordecai and in not revealing her people. Then when it was time to reveal it, it was God's perfect timing.
It struck me how young she was, and that at that age in my life and in the lives of many children I know, we don't have that spiritual maturity.
What we see in that story of Esther is how the Lord takes that very hard circumstance that girl was put in, and he uses it for his glory.
That same story of something where, there's terrible injustice and God takes them and uses them to do great things and save a nation.
We have access to the God who changes hopeless situations so that we can pray, all right? We can reach out, we can see other people in their need. What are some other things that we can do?
I think you need to have people really be aware of what's going on in the world.
When you see somebody that's vulnerable, just showing them the love of God.
Operation Underground Railroad, International Justice Mission, Samaritan's Purse. There's a lot of organizations that are trying to do something about this.
You think about Esther and you think about Mordecai, and I love how it just introduces these two characters, and they're just normal people in that culture, living their lives, doing their best to walk with the Lord.
If we truly believe and if we do what we know the Lord wants us to, He's always going to make a way for us.
All these horrible things happening, and a lot of times it's easy to look at it and question why. But even in the midst of that, you know that God can work.
It's their act of faith that results in this freedom and results in this deliverance. And these are people that have been trafficked. These are people that have been abused. These are people that have been mistreated horribly. These are people that are in real danger, and they're standing up and doing it. And if they can do it, we can do it.